Broadcasting in Northeast Wisconsin, forever changed on March 17th, 1953. Now, 70 years later, WBAY's commitment to the community remains unchanged.
WBAY Day is every day as far as I'm concerned.
Today, we mark a major milestone, led by the guiding principles of accuracy, integrity, and objectivity.
Folks, the hard work you do is a cornerstone of our democracy and a fundamental part of the fabric of our state.
Join us now as WBAY celebrates 70 years on the air.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm getting teary watching.
So am I. Believe it or not, I am.
I can't. I'm getting choked up. That's a big surprise. Okay, this is a very special edition here of Action 2 News at 4. Today, WBAY celebrating 70 years of being on the air.
I'm not going to look at your eyes because I see the tears welling up. I'll do the same thing. It has been an honor, and we truly mean this, folks, and a privilege to be welcomed into your home for all that time, which is why we wanted to first recognize the decades of history that got us to today. For that, we welcome Jeff Alexander to our studio. Jeff.
Well, Bill, I know I speak for all of us in saying there is a tremendous amount of pride when we walk in the door here every day at WBAY. This station has been and remains the most popular go-to station in Northeast Wisconsin. It is a legacy we all take very seriously. For many in today's WBAY family, this station is a part of their earliest memories.
I grew up watching Channel 2 and WBAY, and now to be here as part of the team, I mean, I'm incredibly honored. We have such a strong tradition, amazing journalism, and passionate people.
Station I grew up with. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We grew up as a kid. The noon show was must-see TV. We grew up on a farm, and you shut up during the noon show because that's when the farm markets were on.
Mike Austin, Channel 2's farm specialist, brings you the only complete agribusiness report in the area.
And then it was just the station, and I still think it's that way.
Friends, we in the news department here at WBAY TV are quite excited today.
And it's all thanks to the station's pioneers, both those on the air and behind the scenes who worked at WBAY for decades.
Len Eilenfeld was a guy who worked with the Packers and worked here. You know, Rex Marks, Chuck Ramsey, Les Sturmer was a guy, Bobby Nelson. If I had $5 every time somebody asked, how was Bobby Nelson doing before he passed away, I'd have been a rich, rich man.
Good evening, friends. We are pleased to have you join us.
As the first station on the air in Northeast Wisconsin, WBAY's history is unmatched, and we hear that often.
When you say you work for WBAY, people are like, oh, legacy station. I've always watched that. I grew up watching that. And now I'm getting to the age where people are saying to me, I remember watching you when I was younger, and now they have families of their own. So it's coming full circle.
Like many of our predecessors, WBAY has become a second home for many of us, a family-like feeling on the air and off.
What you see on television, we are real, and behind the scenes, all of us together, people who work in production and sales and marketing, photographers, we're all together.
People who were here 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I mean, I came up with a lot of you guys. It's you were at my wedding, you know, and that's just crazy to me that, you know, to see people. And you have families, and now your kids are, you know, off on their own, and it's kind of cool because we keep people, which is part of our legacy.
A legacy now spanning 7 decades. And while a lot has changed technology-wise and with the tools we use to gather the news, other things have not.
A much faster pace, but I think we still have that tradition. We still have those values, and that has stayed original. You know, to its core, we are who we are, and this tradition is carried on at WBAY.
I've always felt, from my perspective, I'm just trying to carry on that tradition of the people before me. You know, the Chuck Ramseys, the Les Sturmers, Joe Schmitz, guys like that, Bobby Nelsons, that kind of blazed the trail for us to be where we are. We're the second TV station in the state of Wisconsin. And we kind of set the standard. People learn how to do television, how to watch television through us. And we continue on that tradition. We continue that legacy. My job is just don't blow it. I mean, it's simple as that.
All right, 40 years here, Bill. I think it's safe to say you didn't blow it.
Money's in the bank? Okay.
And Cammie celebrates 30 years here coming up later this year. So.
You're not too far behind though either,
It's
Buster.
nice to know I'm the young one in the group.
Oh!
By 1 year.
Barely.
1 year.
And we're going to take some time now today to look back at some of the key people you've come to know and love over the years. Who better to begin with than Wisconsin Broadcasting Hall of Famer Chuck Ramsey.
I love it when people say, hi, Chuck, like they know you, because it makes me feel good. They know who I am, and everybody wants to be recognized.
20 years into retirement from a broadcasting career that spanned 45 years, recognition not a problem for Chuck Ramsey.
WBAY, Channel 2 Green Bay, TV2 Action News with Chuck Ramsey.
In fact, just say Chuck, and most people would know you're talking about the man some call the Walter Cronkite of Northeast Wisconsin.
Old anchormen, you see, don't fade away. They just keep coming back for more.
I met Walter a couple of times, and he was a consummate pro. He never missed anything. He was one of the best actors I've ever seen. And let's face it, when you get in front of a camera, you're doing a lot of acting.
And that's the way it is.
Chuck ought to know he made $90 for a cameo in the 1959 movie Anatomy of a Murder, featuring Jimmy Stewart, George C. Scott, and Lee Remick, when it was shot in Michigan.
We'd like to watch him for a day or so. How much damage did he do?
But he made his mark in broadcasting, first in radio starting in Michigan, and later in television here in Wisconsin. Chuck began his career here at BAY in sports, but in 1971 he transitioned to the news anchor desk. He didn't realize it at the time, but he blazed a trail for others to follow many years down the road.
Some folks didn't think it would work, but it did. I mean, this is a sports-oriented town, and if you're in sports, you're looked upon favorably.
The Vince Lombardi Show.
On at least one occasion, Vince Lombardi was not a big fan.
As I walked by him, he goes, whoa, and I went, whoa. Turned around, he said, what are you doing out here? And I said, I'm looking for you or Tom Miller to get a picture of Park with his helmet swing. Get the hell off my field, you.
Ramsey covered thousands of stories over the years, some of them close to home, as well as a memorable trip to Iraq in the early days of the conflict there.
I've had a couple stories that really affected me. I had to really be careful. You try not to break up, but you're human, I think.
The 88-year-old now lives on the Bay with his wife, Georgia. He had opportunities to jump to bigger markets, but stayed here. He says it was a good fit for a guy who loved to hunt and fish.
It was a good life. I enjoyed every bloody minute that I was on the air. I enjoyed it all. And I just thank God the opportunity to do what I did. And I didn't mess it up. I don't think. See you later.
WBAY TV's Susan Finko keeps you up to date with the latest in news every weekday on The Noon Show. At Channel 2, when you're involved, we're involved.
We now have computer-generated graphics for the forecast, but back then, you needed a backup marker. Maybe 1, 2, or 3.
So that was...
See, he had a crew cut.
Yeah.
I told you that. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. How cool is that?
Terry has so many memories of her dad. Remember the WBAY raft contest? Viewers would guess when the frozen Fox River would thaw enough for the raft to hit the Main Street Bridge in Green Bay.
He always had to do something goofy, so of course he was on the raft when I went under the Main Street Bridge.
In 1982, Nelson suffered a stroke, but it wasn't long before he was walking, talking, and driving again.
I liked that this was his family also. These people, the people that worked on the cameras, the people that worked on the shows, the people that he worked with were all friends.
He enjoyed retirement and remained a close member of the WBAY family, talking with us during our 50th anniversary.
Come up and say, hi Bob, how's the weather? How do I know? I don't know.
Bobby Nelson now gone, but that laugh and smile still here in spirit with his daughter and WBAY.
If I had $5 every time somebody asked, how was Bobby Nelson before he passed away, I'd have been a rich, rich man.
His love for life and how it came across on television. he was always laughing. He was always laughing.
In Green Bay, Emily Beyer, Action 2 News.
You make it work, you make it all worthwhile, you make it live, you've got so much to give, you've got the power and you give it every hour, every minute, you're our people, you're our power, with true power.
From WBAY TV, your first alert station, Action 2 News at 4:30 starts now.
Whereas today the state of Wisconsin joins WBAY TV and its dedicated team of journalists, past and present, in celebrating 70 years of quality programming, news, weather, and sports coverage that was investigative, informative, and inspirational, and serves as a trusted source of local and state news for Wisconsinites across the state. Now, therefore, I, Tony Evers, Governor of the state of Wisconsin, do hereby claim March 17, 2023 as WBAY TV Day in Wisconsin.
Well, there you go. WBAY TV Day in the state of Wisconsin, also in Green Bay, by the way. And as you know, we've been talking about this for a while now. We're celebrating 70 years on the air, the first station in Northeast Wisconsin that can say that. Many alumni back in town visiting today, all part of the history and legacy of this station that began on March 17th, 1953. When you watch some of the faces that you've seen, that you had such a big part of their careers, how did it make you feel seeing all this again?
Proud. Really feel like it was part of a legacy, part of that legacy. My philosophy always was hire the best people you can and let them do their jobs. It makes my job a lot easier having all these really good people working.
But there were so many common threads. We visited with old reporters and anchors, and just how tough it was in here in terms of developing and strengthening skills and things like that. So a lot of that goes back to you and your leadership. So how much pride do you take in the things that you heard? You just mentioned pride, but not just the things that you heard, but the way that people developed when you were here.
Well, the one thing that I hated the most was people leaving. But it was one thing I loved the most as well. Because if they left and went to a bigger market, that means they've learned a lot here and they're ready for a bigger stage to work in. At the same time, I really love the idea that I could keep people here and keep especially the most important people in terms of the viewers are concerned. That's your frontline anchors. And we've been very successful in doing that.
You hired me.
I did.
Thought about kicking me out a few times.
Oh no, never. In fact, I shouldn't say this.
Don't say it on the...
There's an ESPN anchor that didn't work here because we took you instead.
Oh no, don't. You can say it. He's said it many times. John Anderson, he never lets me forget that, and I never let him forget his paycheck at ESPN. So that's fine.
That's all right.
When I came here to interview, one of the reasons I came here is because I looked around at the people who are working here, and you have people who are working here 20, 25 years, retiring from here. It's a good feeling. I mean, I've been to stations where you bounce around, you see people come and go, and we have our share of that here as well, because it's a medium-sized market. But there's a longevity here. There's people that come here and they stay here for their entire career.
Well, something that hasn't changed in 70 years, there is nothing like live television. You never know what to expect. Witness this trip back through the years you need to see. Cammie, you'll never guess what's happening here at Lambeau Field. Will's going to pan over. They're watering the grass right next to where we're doing all our reports here. And you never know. It's kind of like sprinkler roulette. You never know which one's going to pop up next. And we've done live reports out here from snow, wind. We just never expected it on a beautiful, cloudless day here at Lambeau's. I'm getting so